there's something in your past or something you're currently involved in that you've been keeping a secret. If you want to, who can you tell your secret to? Before going any further, you might want to check out this video where I explain 5 questions to answer to make a good decision of whether you should tell or keep your secret. If you haven't watched it yet, I recommend you do, and then come back here. You know, people hide many things, from personal failures to lapses in judgment and everything in between. Most of us have experienced the relief of getting something off our chest by sharing personal information. We feel set free when we relieve the stress of hiding painful information and share it with a trustworthy confidant. It seems to break the power of condemnation. In this video, I suggest 4 criteria to help you decide who you might talk to. So let's get started. Criteria number 1. Are they reliable? While our past doesn't necessarily define our future, it can be a good indication of a person's character. A secret is a sacred trust. There's little to no room for error in judgment, so it's important to know the track record of the other person you talk to. Have they been dependable and trustworthy? How easily do they get embroiled in gossip? Do other people view them as reliable? Do you know enough about them to expect that they'll respond to you with sensitivity and wisdom? Criteria number 2. Do they listen? When sharing important private information, you're looking for someone to pay attention and to take in what you have to say with respect. That means without interrupting, questioning, or debating you. Listening closely to what you have to say, as well as what you're not saying, honors you as a person who's in the middle of your life and experiencing difficulty. If they're impatient or a poor listener, they may not be the best person to talk to. Now, let's move on to criteria number 3. Can they carry the weight of what you're telling them? When you confide in another person, it requires a level of maturity for them to not take on your burden as their own. You don't need a rescuer because you're an adult who wants to cope with and manage your own life, not become dependent on someone else or under someone else's control. So, have you witnessed how they've handled difficulties in their own life and how they've responded to others who've shared problems with them? Now, before we move on to the 4th and final criteria, I just want to emphasize that I'm your mentor and I'm with you on the path to a good life. If you're following Jesus, as I am, you should also consider the advice of Jesus' brother James, who said, "Confess your sins to one another and pray for each other. The prayer of a person living right with God is something powerful to be reckoned with." Which brings me to criteria number 4, which involves the spiritual aspect of decision making. Choose someone who is right with God and who will pray with you. So let me summarize. Here are 4 criteria to consider before trusting someone with private information. Number 1, are they reliable? Number 2, do they listen? Number 3, can they handle the weight? And number 4, are they right with God? Those are the criteria that I've come up with based on my experience. What would you add? What's important to find in another person before you're comfortable sharing your secrets with them? I'd welcome your comments if you just include them below. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and I hope you'll call me my mentor, Jane.